Right.
Wake up, Gareth.
I know. It's wake up time. Good morning, everybody. Up you get, rise and shine. Lebang says she slept properly. She woke up properly this morning.
I am around. I am alive.
Feeling strong, and she's going to dissipate her strength to the rest of us. She's going to share her wealth.
Take it all. Well, as far as wealth goes,
okay, I mean,
my energy. Take my energy.
Your spiritual wealth.
Yes,
Let's take some of that.
I'm here to enrich you. I woke up feeling so good today, dude. I don't know what it was,
Yeah.
but luckily, because you know the waking up does get harder
Oh
the
my
colder
God.
it gets.
Mm-hmm.
But today I was just like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Very happy to be
All
here.
right. Yeah, me too. We got things to do today. Wow. All right. Well, where do we begin? I mean, I noticed something funny this morning.
Oh no.
There's a lot of people like hanging around on the streets early in the morning, which worries me a bit. Like they don't look like they're on their way anywhere.
Like, are they just hovering?
I just, to me, unless you don't have anywhere to go,
Sure.
why would you be on the cold Joburg streets at 5:30 a.m.? Why?
Maybe
Why?
Maybe I truly have nowhere to go. And
Yeah, well, that's why I'm worried. So,
but you know how the economy is set up. People are just generally like they have nothing to wake up to. They maybe some of them just come back from the casino, gambling. What's left of
no
their
wonder
life
you have
savings.
nowhere to go. I mean,
like
you know what? I do not listen. I have sympathy for drug addicts.
okay.
I have sympathy for alcoholics. I have sympathy for people who have almost all the addictions, but gambling.
Why? Why? What's with the?
Because I mean, surely.
It's an addiction, Gareth.
I know. Okay,
There's people
but here's
who are
the thing.
suffering.
I know. And you can explain it to me in a whole bunch of logical ways, and you're going to make sense. And I'm going to have to go, yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. But you just don't feel sorry for them.
You can put yourself on a list. You can actually say, listen, I've got a gambling problem.
Yeah.
And you should know you have a gambling problem the moment you want to go to a casino, full stop. Because casinos exist because people are dumb and want to give away their money. Casinos don't exist because they're an NGO that hands out cash.
Sure.
And you're going to win.
Yeah.
Like they say they do.
Yeah.
It's all the marketing.
It's all the marketing. That's why when you look up at the ceiling, it still looks like daytime. You can never tell what time it is at a casino. They do all of that on purpose.
Crooked people run those.
That's all that it is.
Listen, don't do it. I have a great relationship with casinos. You know why? I just never go into them.
So that doesn't sound great. It sounds like you're neglecting casinos.
It sounds like I don't ever feel the need to put money into a machine or sit down at the roulette table or sit down at the blackjack table.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? The most fun I ever had, I went to not the most fun I ever had, but the most fun I had gambling.
Sure.
One of my friends had a 40th or 41st or whatever it was birthday party.
Yeah.
And he gave us all a pile of chips, tokens.
Nice.
And we gambled. And there was no real money to be won. And I loved it. It was the most fun. We were playing. There was no actual stakes involved. It was just great fun.
That's cool for you. But for some people, Gareth, it's like, if you don't pay me my money, I'm going to come and kill your whole family. So you take your life savings and you go gamble in hopes that you'll make more money. And remember, once you win a little bit, then you get addicted to that winning, that feeling of, aha, it was this easy to make quick cash. That's what makes people go back and back and back. So let's not judge. If you are a gambling
fucking addicts.
If you are an addict, there are numbers you can call 0800 addict. And just get some help.
Is that the number?
No, of course not. I don't know, but get some help is the point. There's people that
say that's a good number. And do you remember when our phones used to have the A and the B and the C on one?
Sure.
And the D, the E, the F on two, and so on.
Yes.
We used to know, could I type fast?
Yeah.
Jesus.
And our screens were like this small. Yep.
I was like a fucking AI programmed robot.
Yep. Yeah, those are the days. Now it's like the opposite. There's like no buttons at all, and the full phone is a full screen. Like it's gone. National helpline for gambling addiction. 1-800-522-4700.
Look at you.
Get some help, get some treatment. If there's someone in your family that's a gambling addict and this is triggering, tune in on Mondays for Dr. Hanan. Send us your messages.
Look at you.
Hey,
Doing
man, I
a
woke up
public
in a good
service
mood.
announcement. You're helping people with gambling addictions. Look at you're such a giving, kind, considerate, and considering the fact that you already have 5 little people that you have to be in charge of every day. What a
look at me.
How extraordinary is this output of energy from Lebang? Isn't she spectacular?
Take it.
Give her the credit she's due. I like this.
Give me my flowers.
Give her flowers.
Yeah.
All right, lots of people in the comments, very busy this morning. Snaya says she's enjoying the energy.
Dope.
Feel good this morning.
Amazing.
When you need to poo in a coin cup to carry on beating the one-armed bandit, you may have a problem.
That sounds messy.
There are people who gamble. This is not a joke, actually. There are people who gamble and they like wear adult nappies.
And they just sit there.
I've never seen it, but I've heard about it. And I mean, it could be an urban legend, but I reckon it's the same for gamers. If you're a gamer and you can't actually get up and go and take a shit, you've passed the point of no return.
Yeah.
I think what we need is like elite squads of people who parents and loved ones and so on can hire. They can call, like that gambling number you just gave.
Yeah.
There's another number. It's like, there's no saving young Johnny. He's just too much into the gaming.
Yeah.
He's fat. He doesn't wash his backside. He never does anything except game. He puts on a VR headset and we don't see him for like 4 days. Just come round to the house and just put a bolt into little Johnny's head because it's over for him.
It's over.
Right? And the same goes for like if you're shitting at a coin machine.
There's people you can call.
While you're going blink, 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 blink with the buttons, you're also squeezing out a little turd. I mean,
you're just timing it so that the turd sound doesn't, make the highest.
Oh no!
Yeah, you're just like
those people don't care. Those people don't care about.
Oh no!
They've given up on society.
Too far gone, Gareth. Yeah. They are too far gone. I recently saw a video of a woman just like trinkling all over the floor, like literally while she's in the gambler seat. Like that's a thing. You're absolutely right. And yes, we do need a group of people that can help us scrape these people off the floors. It's ridiculous. And they sit there for hours.
I'm afraid so.
For hours. Shame, man.
Well, they have nappies on, yes, especially card and table fames.
Ooh.
Games, he means. And then
games.
What you need to do is get Cartman's mom to come in with a bucket. Yeah, that's
the South Park.
Yeah, in South Park, there's this scene where, Mom, you need to get a toilet. And then his mother comes down the stairs with a bucket and he just like shits across the room. And it's just so gross. I mean, like, I love South Park, but actually if it wasn't animation, it would be the grossest show on.
There's a reason why it's not animation. Ever. Like, there's no way that they could put any of that. No, it's better off as animation. So
we got quite a show for you this morning. Let me just go through the menu with you quickly. So we got a few things. We've got, we got to get into your favorite subject, the Thabo Bester case. This thing, thank God you told me about this because I would have been caught with my pants down, literally. I had no idea all of this was happening. I didn't know who Thabo Bester was. If Lebang hadn't come in here one morning and said to me, this story is going to be the biggest story ever. And you spotted it long before anyone else.
Honestly, I did. Like, I was putting you on, Gareth. Like, I was like, you know what? It's so important to me that Gareth knows this. No. But also because it's just like, it's. I think it's the first time in a while that as a country, there's this, every 2 minutes, it's yo. Yeah. And another yo. Because it's just like, it's crazy.
It's what Pumi's now labeled it Kuningi.
Kuning. Right? Every single time it's like, this is a lot. We can't even keep up.
We got that to get to. Yes. We've got African Analysis with JJ Cornish, which a lot of people are very into because he's the guy who tells us what else is going on this continent of ours.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who know. And then later on, 7:00, we've got Austin and Kyle Cassim coming in, which is fantastic. Love these guys. I've known them for years and they are both extraordinary talents and have just had an enormous impact on the music scene in South Africa. So we can talk to them. Of course, they've got this outfit called Cinnamon, which they do together.
Very cool.
But they also independently do their own thing.
Yeah.
And Kyle's getting married this year.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
My word. That is so
So,
exciting.
Gotta catch up with him about all the stuff.
Very cool. Very
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. Like a lot is going down in the world. I don't know if you saw, but the Dalai Lama situation.
Oh,
Yo.
okay. Well, can we start with this? Because, there are two situations that are going on in the world right now that we need to address. The first one being this Dalai Lama making this child suck his tongue.
Okay,
which,
when you put it like that.
Well, that's what he did. There's no two ways about it. That's why he apologized straight away after he suddenly realized, oh, Jesus.
Whoops.
This is kind of pedophile behavior, right? And there is no way that anyone who has a healthy relationship with their children or with any children looks at this and goes, good idea.
This is good. This is okay.
Good idea.
It's okay, this one.
Totally acceptable. Okay, we get into that. The other one that we've got to get to after that is this whole Bud Light fiasco with this transgender person called Dylan Mulvaney, because Bud Light are backpedaling at 1,000 kilometers an hour, desperate to try and save themselves from what has become a boycott, effectively, by their own. They have forgotten who their customers were.
Like most brands.
Yep. I mean, you could say that again. Say it again.
Like most brands.
Yep. Because a lot of these brands are so busy signaling to their own little circle of friends in a lofty, elevated part of corporate
a bubble.
Global nonsense.
A bubble.
And they've forgotten that ordinary people do not think the stupid way they do.
Exactly.
And do not signal to each other what good people they are with company money. And the worst thing about this is a lot of the people who decide these things are not the ones who made the companies or who are bringing in the cash.
At all.
These are people who've been appointed because they're part of that circle in the first place. And I'm not one of those tear the whole thing down people. But when I see stories like this, I'm like, yeah, tear it all down.
Tear that motherfucker
There's
down.
some bad bullshit going on in the top of corporate hierarchies. There really is.
And most of them have like a similar mindset. So you just have one person who has one linear way of thinking, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Yeah. So there's 6 to 10 old dudes all sitting there shaking hands and going,
Listen, by the way, it's not so much just old dudes anymore. This is mostly like woke white women who are trying to impose their leftist bullshit on everyone else. They want their friends at PTA meetings to say, oh my God, I'm so impressed with how you guys backed that transgender athlete the other day with your corporate money. And then their friends make them feel good. And they're like, oh yeah, we're so like progressive.
Look at us.
We're the most progressive. And they're like, literally you could see them patting themselves on the back. These are the problem people.
Yeah.
These are the ones that we need to deal with. It's not like, you could say a lot about like old men who start companies and are at the top of corporate hierarchies. Mostly they're motivated by money.
Definitely. And that has changed. It, like you're saying, it's no longer just that typical group. Now we're seeing a combination of people.
There's diversity and inclusion going on.
Which is cool.
And now what you've got is a whole bunch of these diversity and inclusion people who are trying to impress each other.
That's the problem.
Rather than remembering why the business is in business.
Why are you there to begin with? Why did you get hired in the first place?
Beer. You're selling beer. You're not trying to get visibility for transgender people as the agenda. Anyway, we'll get to that next.
Let me tell you one thing. I promise you will sell the beer. There is no doubt. There's people out there who want to drink the beer. Yeah. They'll drink it.
Just don't fuck up.
That's it.
And what they do is they fuck up. All right, so let's look at this Dalai Lama thing, because you've got a different take on this.
So no. Remember, Gareth, we spoke about it last week and we were both like really grossed out, like, ew, that's nasty. And I still agree, but I did a little bit of digging. And it turns out, I'm not being swayed, but I need to put out the other opinions there. So it turns out there's actually a whole Tibetan culture that exists around old grandparents, not only giving a little kiss to a small child, but also like feeding them, like giving them a small candy or a piece of food right from their mouths. A little bit like bird vibes.
Sis, man.
Directly from mouth to mouth. Yes, sis, but this is their culture. So
I don't listen.
Listen, Gareth. So as the elder gives,
there are people in Borneo who eat people. Okay, they actually eat people. No. And are we going to let them eat people and then say, it's just their culture?
Of course not.
No.
I'm just
certain
saying.
cultural practices are disgusting and need to be stopped. And gross old men making young children get near their mouths is an appalling, horrible, stiff, disgusting, and sick culture. And if that's your culture, you know what you do? Abandon it on the side of the fucking highway and find another culture. I have no respect for your culture if you include having to have children suck your tongue, you old, gross, wrinkly, saggy ball motherfucker. No.
So my thing was, is this culture still relevant? So I knew that you wouldn't be about it. But listen, there is something in it, because the whole thinking is that, I'm giving this child something from me to that child. And even if there's nothing left, now, okay, eat my tongue. Not suck, eat my tongue as a form of like, continue to take from me as the elder to the child. Look, I don't know if it's still relevant.
I know what you're trying to do.
I just want you to see the perspective.
You're being the devil's advocate. Can I tell you something?
As I should be.
Sure. There is no perspective that's going to make this okay. And I appreciate that the Dalai Lama sent you 15 million rand yesterday.
He did. It just clocked now.
I know you're going to defend him because he's paying you money.
Of course.
There is no way to defend this.
It's gross.
It's
gross.
It's like when Jacob Zuma tried to use some kind of cultural defense when it came to those rape charges all those years ago. People were like, oh no, but ukutwala, and all of this. And I'm like, no, that's not what it is.
Yeah, no, this is just
you're taking advantage of people who don't know what the culture is. And you're incorporating your bad behavior into the culture so that it makes your bad behavior look less bad.
So my thing was, if this truly was a cultural thing, then why didn't they put that in the statement? That statement was like, oops, we fucked up. Sorry. It wasn't, this is our culture. We stand by it. It's almost like an afterthought.
He didn't say anything about the culture.
He didn't mention the culture until like
in his apology,
the 11th hour.
In his apology, it was straight up like, oh God, you caught me with my hands in the till.
Absolutely.
So, gross pedophile behavior.
The end.
Not acceptable. This guy is, I'm sorry for all the Buddhists. Like, I know you think he's a reincarnation of the Buddha, but it's a pretty lame vehicle that the Buddha chose this time around.
Yeah.
If he likes to suck on children's tongues or make them suck on his, it's just gross. And I've noticed, by the way, to Buddhism's credit, I have no desire this morning to pick a fight with Buddhists in general, because it's certainly not their fault that this human mortal man behaves this way. And if he's meant to be holy, they call him His Holiness, then he should really think about his behavior. But to their enduring credit, I don't see them threatening to kill us for bringing up the fact that the Dalai Lama was doing this thing.
Yeah.
I see them just quietly going about their spiritual practices, doing their thing.
The show's going on.
Correct. And nobody's jumping up to say, but he's allowed because he's holy. No. I mean, the same thing goes, frankly, it's just, there's something very unnatural about celibacy in general.
Sure.
So I admire people who can switch off all the sexual buttons and become celibate and become a priest or become a monk or become a whatever. I admire it.
Yeah.
But I think it is extremely unnatural and very, very difficult. And I think a lot of these people are repressive and suppressive of thoughts that are going on in their heads that are probably socially unacceptable. Again, I'm making a couple of leaps in logic here, but I do not think it's healthy for people to be celibate.
Do you think there's a direct link almost in that choice of switching off some of your natural human innate things, that because you're now suppressing it and, putting on this act and trying to hide it away, it sort of now has a direct effect on your behavior, essentially? Like, now there's things that you almost have a childlike view on doing because you've just decided,
I think some people, you can't hold someone responsible for their thoughts, right?
Sure.
Until they become actions. I mean, Bill Clinton is not a religious leader, and he always had his dick out.
You just showed your age, and I love it.
But Bill Clinton,
right?
Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
Like, Bill Clinton is like an old school perv who would just, any woman in his presence was fair game to him.
Yeah.
And he was all over those interns.
Ugh.
And he was, how you doing?
Ugh.
Come over here, say hi to Uncle Bill. And Bill Cosby was the same. And they're not religious leaders. But this is bad, especially because these religious leaders, whether Catholic priests, whether it's Dalai Lama, forcing this kid to suck his tongue or whatever, what makes it worse is they set themselves up to be our superiors.
Sure.
Morally.
Sure.
So I'm not going to take instruction from you, thanks.
Yeah, you're not the guy.
Yeah, so you know what? I can't stop people from behaving like freaks and creeps, and I'm not going to. I don't have that kind of power. I can't click my fingers and make them all stop.
Sure.
But not on my watch.
Yeah.
If it happens in my neighborhood, I'm not going to be like, you do you. I'm going to be, no, that's not on.
We don't do that here. It's just the irrelevance, I think. Like a lot of these cultures and these things that were once put into place to allow these said people in power to continue their bullshit are no longer relevant.
Bullshit, exactly.
No, there's just no space for them anymore. Like you're calling it culture and you're calling it the way we've always done things. What if the way you've done things is just crap?
Like culture used to be in ancient Rome that every weekend there'd be a bunch of people who'd kill themselves in an arena in front of you and people would cheer and carry on like this is perfectly natural.
Sure.
That's not going to fly today. Ancient Greeks used to have sex with each other before battle, and I'm just talking about the men. I mean, that's cultural, but you don't do it anymore.
Yeah, because it's no longer relevant. Well, it happens.
I mean, it's
still happening.
Especially in the navies, apparently. But anyway, I mean, it's just sexual practices. If you're going to put them under culture, you have to be able to show a long tradition of doing this stuff. And you have to be willing to accept that some people are going to say, okay, well, it's stupid now and it needs to change.
Sure.
That's all.
Definitely.
Anyway.
We are aligned, comrade. We are aligned. Okay,
so that one's done. So Bud Light put this campaign out with this guy called Dylan Mulvaney, who is now living as a woman.
Okay.
And he's a big YouTube star, puts out videos almost every other day of like his life as a woman. But if I actually met a woman who behaved like this guy did, because he's such a stereotypical, like he's almost mocking women.
Okay.
You know, like if I told you to play the part of a ditzy, dumb woman, almost like a teenage girl who was raised without a dad and just had no idea of how to behave and was prancing around the whole time. And like, it's all like super, super feminine things that most women
are probably not even.
Most women I've met are not even a little bit like this. Okay. It's like a caricature of a woman.
Sure. He's putting on a show.
And he, to my mind, he's mocking women.
Okay.
The way that a racist would mock black people and think that they were acting like black people.
Okay, I get it.
Do you know what I mean?
So like blackface.
Yeah, it's a woman face. So. So I think this was a major, major misstep by them. And Bud Light put him on their cans of beer. And, you know, it goes down to like basic things like he's pretending to be a girl and he's like, oh, well, I don't know much about sports. But he's got like this super.
Why didn't they just get a woman to do this, if I can ask?
That's it, because, you know, the best women in the world now are men. The patriarchy's in charge of everything. They've won every game. It's just like it's deeply insulting to women. And women are going along with this in some places. I mean, I don't think all women are. I think a lot of women look at this and see it for what it is. But a lot of women, including the vice president and the chief of marketing at Bud Light, or Anheuser-Busch, the parent company, she decided this would be a great idea.
Okay.
And now, because they've kind of forgotten who their target market is, which is mostly like traditional male frat boys and old bikers.
Sure.
This Dylan Mulvaney has zero purchase on that market, right?
Yeah.
So they've lost $6 billion of market share in the last little while because there's a boycott going on.
Sure.
Guys are like, what the fuck? Don't try and insult us and women and put this fucking pantomime horse on as the new brand.
This is so desperate.
Ambassador.
Gareth, this is so desperate and so sad. I feel like we talk about this quite often, how literally brands are just, they want so bad to be relevant and they want so bad to be spoken about. To be relevant,
but also to be seen as good.
Seen as good, yes. This is covered
socially
in
progressive.
Look at us.
Good.
We are considering everyone. And I think at the core, if you know who you're selling your products to, speak to those people, solve their problem, and sell what you're selling to those people.
Right.
The minute you start to go, of course, then you're no longer there for the right. You don't know what you're doing anymore.
And you can even see it in South Africa. You see a lot of brands that are trying desperately to align themselves with certain social movements.
Yeah.
And it just backfires every time because, first of all, it's dishonest. They don't really feel that way. Second of all, you got to remember, like society in South Africa, despite what everybody says, most South Africans, black and white, all the different language groups, kind of conservative. They believe in
Still
family
very,
values,
yes.
very religious.
Yes.
You know, this is how families are in South Africa. And they don't want to be talked down to like this by corporations who are taking their money.
No.
And they'll be like, actually, no, I think I can spend my money somewhere else.
Elsewhere.
There are other people who are not going to patronize me like this.
It's insulting. It's absolutely insulting.
Yeah.
You know, I'm at the point, Gareth, where I'm really starting to realize that it's almost as though being a woman is just in fashion now. It's a thing that you can put on. It's a thing that you can fake and pretend to do. And then when you feel like it, just like kind of take it off.
It's even worse than that. I mean, you don't wake up in the morning and think about being a woman. You are, right?
Yeah, of course.
Here's the thing is like there are a lot of white men who feel that they're at the very far end of the victim hierarchy. Like they're no longer important. So how do they immediately get to the front? They just
become a woman.
I'm transgender. So
you
it's like,
bore me.
So it's such an obvious, calculated, insincere move. I mean, I don't know whether half these people actually are doing gender transitioning.
Like, do they really feel connected to this? Were they just born like this? Or is it just something they feel like putting on now? This is so bad.
It's an outfit.
Exactly. And that's what bores me. This is an outfit. I remember I was reading an article recently about some of the prisons in America. There's women who are falling pregnant in the women jails because there's transgenders who are going into the prisons.
And they're raping these women.
They are raping these women. Why? Because being a woman today is
just happened in Scotland.
I just feel like it. So I'm going to put this on. It's balls. It's not balls anymore. But it's nonsense.
To reference what Lebang's talking about, it's already happened in Scotland to the point where they've had to reverse some laws there.
Yes.
It's just happened in Washington State Prison, which is in Washington State, obviously, in Northeast America. And, you know, people are just avoiding this like it's not a subject worthy of discussion. I think it is.
Definitely.
I think it is, not because I am involved in it in any which way or because I have a dog in this fight, but I'll tell you what, it seems to be the biggest topic in America at the moment. And if you don't talk about it or you get it wrong, look at what happened to Bud Light. So,
Gareth, it's almost like we're waiting for it to get very bad. And then we'll be like, oh my gosh, we have to talk about this. Let's do something. Do something now because you can already see how bad this is getting. Don't wait for people to die. And
I almost decided to become transgender at our old offices because your bathrooms are so much better than mine.
Naturally.
And I was like, well, I could always pretend to be transitioning and then I could use the nicer bathroom. Because you guys had like a big palatial bathroom the size of the studio. We had this tiny little cupboard where you peed right next to where you washed your hands.
Yeah. If you want the better smelling hand lotion and you want the furry towels, just become a woman.
Yeah, I could see that.
It really upsets me. I won't lie to you. Like, and it just sucks that no one's doing anything about it. We're not saying anything.
Nike sent this Dylan Mulvaney a sports bra, and then he's dancing.
I remember
he's
that
dancing around in the sports bra, and I'm like, this is an article designed for women with breasts. He doesn't have breasts. He's
it's very flat-chested. Yeah.
And he's parading around and like mincing about, like just making a mockery. He really thinks, first of all, I don't believe for a second that this guy has any respect for women. I don't believe he has any women friends. He's clearly like one of these guys who, you know how you can tell when someone just has no idea of what real women are like?
Sure.
They've never interacted with one.
It's a show. They're just putting on a performance for us because this is what's in fashion. If you do this, you'll get all the good deals. All the brands are going to, collaborate with you. So just become a woman for a while and you'll be the guy. My question is, are there no women out there who they could have given this very ad to or this bag to? I don't get it because Who are you speaking
People
to
are
now?
so frightened, first of all, to say what we've just said.
Of course.
Because there's the chance they could get cancelled and, people will pile on and go, oh, well, you're not very progressive. You must be some kind of right-wing Nazi. Obviously, the minute you have these opinions,
Yeah, of course.
you're a bad person.
Of course.
Which is not true. And what we're seeing is that more and more people are just afraid to say it, but they actually believe what we've just said.
And they feel it and they believe it as well. What is stopping anybody from coming up with a brand new sports bra brand that is just for transgender? That's it. What is the problem?
That adds to the titties.
That, it'll give you a little bit of a boost. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll get a full range of colors and it's just for you guys.
Yes.
If you want representation I don't know. I don't know. I need to speak to the people at Nike. They're upsetting me.
Well, apparently, so producer Ryan says Mr. Beast's friend, Chris Tyson. I've heard about this. I don't know a lot about Mr. Beast or Chris Tyson. Mr. Beast is a huge star on YouTube.
Yes.
Apparently, Chris Tyson is his sidekick, and he just changed genders, and he has a wife and a kid now.
Oh my word! That poor child and wife.
Yeah,
their whole lives are just is ripped from them. It's probably just about to change. Like my first thing is
so selfish.
Oh,
it's just so selfish. It's like, I'm gonna live my authentic self. I'm gonna be me, but just screw these children I have and this wife that I've spent the last 20 years with.
Yeah.
It's extremely selfish.
What if it's always been inside of him, Gareth, and he's always just felt something, and finally he's just gonna change.
Well, you chose a hell of a time to decide to ruin your whole family.
Yo, this is so messy.
You couldn't just come to some arrangement with your wife where you occasionally wear her clothes, if that's your thing, or
when the lights are off,
or when if you need to have experiences with other transgender people, you could make some arrangement with your wife, but to just dump them and go full into the media saying I'm now a woman, I just think it's extremely solipsistic. These people think the whole universe revolves around them. It's just so weird.
It's so weird and it's messy. There's people that are getting, really affected by this. And look, guys, I don't want to be that guy. I think there are maybe some people who truly do, from a young age, they feel different.
Sure.
And for them, it's a real thing.
I'm not even going to argue with you.
For them, it's an absolute real thing and they're not making it up. But for most, this is just made up. This is just, I want to be talked about.
For most of them, it's a way of getting attention that they wouldn't otherwise have got.
That is exactly that. And once the attention goes away, they're just going to take the wig off and go right back to regular programming.
If I were a huge attention-seeking narcissist, I would just declare myself tomorrow to be a woman. And I can promise you it would be all over the news. It would get me tons of endorsement money. It would get me lots of commercial deals, and it would be nonsense because I would know deep down inside I was doing it dishonestly.
And that's an insult, not only to yourself, but to the people that are actually experiencing this.
There are people who have genuine
Yes.
Gender dysphoria, right?
Absolutely.
And those people are going through a hell of a time. They're not sure who they are. They've got major self-worth issues, identity issues.
Sure.
And that's for psychologists to unpack. I'm no expert on that front. But I just think it's deeply, deeply insulting to women to have these obviously performance guys like this Dylan Mulvaney doing this stuff. So anyway, I mean, we'll see how it ends. We'll see how it ends with the Dalai Lama. These are just two of the things that we wanted to bring up this morning because, of course, we love the controversy and we find so much of it. We've got JJ Cornish coming up in just a short while, but there's something else you wanted to bring up.
Yes. There's a lot happening in the world of sports as well. Like while we're speaking about relationships and changes and I came across this story the other day of a soccer player who essentially, you know, how soccer players are just balling out of control and, you know, there's all this money. And then as soon as there's like a breakup in the cut, it gets...
I know this. I know what the story is. You and Ryan were like talking to each other about it and you said, no, don't tell him.
Yes.
But I do know about this.
I said, I'm actually going to tell him on the show because I just find it so interesting how all of it like evolves. So there's a Moroccan football player, Achraf Hakimi. So he was married to his wife. Everything was all good. And naturally, all good things have to come to an end. And when she filed for divorce, she demanded half of his property. So this sneaky Russian bugger, my word, he had apparently put registered every one of his properties, every one of his vehicles under whose name?
His mother's.
His mother's
so
fucking
clever.
Bro, so when they're in court, she's like, oh, I'm about
So
to
clever.
cash in. It's going to go up. Judge is like, this guy actually doesn't have anything. He doesn't have a lot. The person who's got a lot is his mom. So his mother's come out to say, I had no idea. And I'm actually proud that my son did this because now he got rid of that woman.
That gold digging. Soccer wife. What do they call them? Football wife.
Football wife. I just think it's so interesting and such a good cheat code. Like this is how you do the things. If you want to like not find yourself in the situation where
what a smart guy, huh?
Bruh. And he gets like €1 million from PSG every month. That's a lot of money, but 80% of it goes to his mom, is Mrs. Fatima. Cars, property, jewelry, houses, even clothes.
Good. It's got everything.
Shem, teach us, sensei, teach us. Like that's the energy.
I don't know how you feel about this, but it seems to me like a lot of people are so clearly after the money. And I don't know whether that's the case with this woman. Maybe she was genuinely in love with him for a while. But I'm sure at some point she looked at the money and thought, well, if I divorce this guy, I'm getting half of this money, right?
No, definitely. I think that
she
happens.
Had no idea that the mom owned everything.
Exactly,
she had no idea.
Exactly.
I think this is so great because she should have done her due diligence.
Shout out to the moms, clearly, because she was like, oh, what? My son's been sending things. I have no idea. Like she's acting like she has no clue. But yes, the problem is people go after people these days because they're just looking at the money. It's like, if I stay in this relationship for this long, then I divorce him or her, then I can get a big, nice payout of such and such an amount. And this is just how you get stopped in your tracks.
Tabo loves this. He says, boss.
Yes.
That is how you deal with gold diggers.
100%.
Right on.
100%.
Dogozo says Future did the same thing to avoid paying a baby mama.
But Future has like 1 million baby mamas.
Yeah, that's
with
true.
That being said, like he's busy.
So Simon says this is revenge for our brother Emmanuel Eboy, who earned 20 million plus in his career, got divorced, and a judge in the UK gave her everything, and he was left homeless.
Damn. That's not cool.
No.
That is not cool.
Yeah. Listen, I often hear these stories. It's a tough one because sometimes the husband is earning huge money and the wife is keeping the house going, looking after the kids, making sure that everything's, she's not able to work. And if she was, she probably wouldn't earn as much as him anyway in these superstar athlete situations.
Sure.
And she deserves some for being married to him,
keeping the household alive.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's a big job.
Equal responsibilities, maybe more responsibilities for the woman. So I think there's a fairness thing that comes into this. But
there is.
But once you talk about like she's going to get half.
Look, I think as soon as there's kids involved, definitely that conversation happens of, okay, cool. How are you going to continue to look after the kids? Who's going to look after the kids? Is the dad going to take the kids? Is the mom? But in this case, there were no children. It's literally just a husband and a wife. So it's a bit different. So it's just a her-facing thing. Like, how is she going to proceed?
We got to stop because we got JJ Cornish coming up. But Tabo just brought up this. Everyone's after the money. Look at Dr. Nandipa. So just quickly, what is the latest? You are our intrepid reporter when it comes to Tabo Besta. So you've got the latest on this Tabo Besta story. Here's reporter Lebang Hosana.
Coming to you live from the Cliff Central studios. This is a quick update on Tabo Besta. As we know, they were caught last week. They are officially in South Africa. They've actually both appeared in court, but there are also 2 other accused in this case. And those are the former G4S employees and the contracted camera installer at the Maung Correctional Center. This is obviously where Tabo Besta escaped. So the state will be opposing bail for this medical doctor Nandipa, who has just been doing too much, and the 2 other men accused of aiding the killer and rapist Tabo Besta in his escape from Mangu. And she made a brief court appearance on Monday with her father. You know, Guningi, guys, like just Guningi with her father, who's 65-year-old Zolile Cornelius Sekeleni. So he was released on 10 grand bail after the state said that it wasn't opposing bail due to his chronic illness. The 65-year-old and his daughter are accused of helping Besta flee from the facility run by the security company G4S. And if you've been watching, you can see how G4S is just like completely like just way out of their league here. They are getting grilled in court, in parliament as well, every other day. So the three will be returning to court for a formal bail application on Monday, and a lot is happening. And on top of that, there was a voice note that was released last week of literally a conversation between Bester and Dr. Nandipa, where he is heard shouting at her, saying, "You woman, I'll kill you if I want. Don't you dare. Don't you think I've got people following you around? I know your every move. I know everywhere you go." It's messy.
So it makes it look like she may have just been
also just
what do they call it?
Like
She's
emotionally abused, and she was working against her will.
She's just too afraid to act against him.
Yes, but also the timing of the release
like
of
held
the
hostage,
voice.
basically.
Yes, that's what it sounds like. So there's a lot of like, why is this voice note only being released now when she's in court? It's all very basically. So yeah, it seems like Nandipa's dad told the court that he had a previous conviction for stock theft dating back to 2002, and so look, he's also not new to the courting system, is the point. So stay tuned to Cliff Central for more updates. They'll be back in court in about 2 to 3 weeks time, and we'll give you the updates. But every day, I kid you not, Gareth, is another layer and another layer and another layer. Remember, I sent that picture of Thabo Bester and Jacob Zuma. I sent it to the group.
What was that all about?
Apparently, Thabo Bester wasn't actually living in the jail. He was living outside and just popping into the jail for things like checkups and like roll call. He spent most of his sentence living outside.
Is that when he met Gedlichigiza?
Yeah, exactly. That's why there's that picture. So a lot is happening, Guningi people. But just stay tuned, because every day is just like, yo. And
there's
then
so much going on here. Holy shit.
I think that there's something bigger happening, and this is just one big distraction. Because why are we so involved in every single point of the story? Like so deeply. Something big is happening, I believe. This is a major distraction. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to figure it out.
Conspiracy theories are starting to seep in here. I can see it happening already, Lebang.
Yeah.
Let us, on that note, before we become conspiracy theorists, turn our attention to the African continent. Of course, we do this every couple of days. We check in with JJ Cornish, who is our man who knows what's going on. Africanalysis is brought to you by the Johannesburg Business School. Let's take a look at what is happening with JJ Cornish. Hello, sir.
Hi, JJ.
Bonjour. A big day in Africa. Really, really big events happening, eh?
Yeah? Tell us.
Well, we have Sudan, and once the biggest country, or once South Sudan broke away, no longer the biggest, but, one of the most dramatic countries, and one of the areas being fought for, the presidential palace, the former governor general's palace, is where Gordon of Khartoum died in 1885, fighting against forces of the Mahdi. It's a fantastic place to go to if you're looking at the history. But here are the two top military generals, the head of the army, Abdel Fattah Burhan, and the head of the rapid support forces, Mohammed Dagalo, are fighting one another for control of the military. Now, they both maintain that they should be running the military, and they've had 3 days of fighting. 200 civilians at least have died. It's interesting because that's the number of civilians who died in demonstrations after the fall of Omar al-Bashir in 2019. They were fighting to have democracy. And then, of course, there was the coup in 2022 where Burhan took control. Now, the whole world is looking at this with great concern. Anthony Blinken talked to both Burhan and Dagalo yesterday on the phone and said, stop this immediately. We've had the United Nations, the African Union, the Arab League, the European Union, IGAD, these multilateral bodies all saying, come on, come to your senses. The United States, Britain, saying stop this fighting, and none of it has happened. There was a bit of a lull yesterday, but this morning we have tanks in the streets of Khartoum again. The dead remaining unburied, or in Muslim culture, they bury them right where they die if they can't. They've got to be buried within 24 hours. Hospitals being hit. So a very serious situation. And there doesn't seem to be relief at the moment.
Gee, sounds absolutely horrendous. So the Sudanese going at each other, and obviously the ordinary people suffering as a result of that.
Exactly that. And they don't seem to have much regard for human life, these two military forces having at each other.
Yeah.
Dagalo didn't do his name much good fighting the civilians again in Darfur, which was once the running sore of the world. And the fighting is spreading out throughout Sudan. So it's a very, very worrying situation, Gareth.
Seems like a breeding ground for the least humanitarian people among us in Sudan. But I'm curious also about what you said there. All these international organizations, the AU, having absolutely no ability to persuade either side to just ratchet down the violence, huh?
Well, they couldn't. It took a long time to unseat Omar al-Bashir, and it being such a large country is very difficult. Of course, it's also an oil producer and moves oil from South Sudan up the Nile. It's Khartoum is at the confluence of the White and the Blue Niles, so strategically a hugely important place. Just about every drop of oil coming out of there goes straight to China, so there's that consideration. It's in terms of sort of macro international affairs, this is and Africa, this is probably the big one, eh?
Well, it's horrible. Maybe if China had more of a record for caring about human lives and said, hey, we're going to stop buying your oil, that would stop them. But who knows? I mean, it's all conjecture at this point.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about, unfortunately, another violent thing on the continent. 40 people have died in attacks in northern Burkina Faso this month.
Yes, indeed.
So are these the Wagner group of Russian mercenaries?
Well, no, these are people dying in fighting the insurgents, the jihadis up there. 10 days ago, another 44 people were killed, also in the north of Burkina Faso. But the Wagner mercenaries are supposed to be there. Burkina Faso kicked out the French forces, and they've taken on the Wagner forces to help them fight the jihadis. But they don't seem to be doing much of a job. So it's a very difficult situation with Burkina Faso. Again, that whole area of the Sahel, once they had the 5 countries of the Sahel fighting together against the jihadis. But they've thrown out the French, but they have no answer to the protection the French once provided. So it's a very difficult one.
And these jihadis, are they the same people who have been kidnapping girls in Nigeria? Is it the same organization, Boko Haram, or is this a different sort of
Well,
offshoot?
they're all related. This is IS, but they're all related. Al Qaeda, Boko Haram. It's a mishmash of the lot of them fighting in that area.
So maybe they should have kept the French.
Well, you're in danger of sounding like a colonialist there, but if you're being practical, it's not an insane suggestion.
Yeah. All right, so let's just talk about something a little more colonial, the IMF. Because the IMF obviously is the organization that some people absolutely loathe and despise and think has a nefarious purpose for the rest of us. Other people are saying it's the final backstop against countries going completely bankrupt and ruining their economies. But they have come out with some very bleak economic news for our continent. Some of it is our fault. Some of it is obviously not our fault. Soaring inflation, clearly Joe Biden's fault. Higher borrowing costs, because, of course, we are the recipients rather than the donors of foreign aid. The Ukraine war is obviously not our fault either, but that's pushed up the cost of certain commodities and it's upset the flow of capital between countries. And foreign aid is drying up. I mean, lots of people are just cutting those payments at the root. No access to bond markets. What does this mean for Africa?
Yeah, I don't know why you blame Joe Biden for the inflation. I think that soaring inflation 20 years ago hasn't been seen for that long.
Well, JJ, when you print over $1 trillion in 2 years, I think that might have some effect on the dollar and therefore inflation worldwide.
Well, according to the IMF, the Bretton Woods, the leader of the Bretton Woods financial institutions who are meeting at the moment. The Ukraine war is to blame for most of these things. There's certainly the inflation and certainly the failure to access. They hasn't sold a euro bond since 2022 in Africa. And this means it's going to hit the bottom line being the development and the reducing the costs for the development or reducing expenditure on development. It's a very, very sad situation for Africa. But what they've done is, of course, tried to get grain through the United Nations, negotiating grain shipments, because there was a stage where Africa was literally being brought to the point of starvation because of that Ukraine war. But this is probably one of the bleakest predictions from the IMF. As I say, they're in full throw at the moment. This is the financial guys meeting in Washington are like, it's like the United Nations General Assembly when the political guys meet in New York. This is a very, very big meeting, and that they should make this very dire prediction for Africa makes us think what on earth we can do. It's as I said, the worst we've seen in 2 decades. So maybe it's something we've got to address, and the African governments must do what they can, but they are so reliant on development aid and so reliant on the inflation rate in the world that they sometimes just have to throw their hands up and take the punishment.
Maybe we should stop suckling on that poisonous teat then, and maybe we should also de-dollarize ourselves. I mean, you hear lots of talk around the BRICS movement and what's happening with Brazil, Russia, India, China, and Saudi Arabia now hopping on board that particular train. Maybe it's time for us to choose new colonial masters, because we're certainly not going to be. I mean, it's also like, what the hell does the Ukraine war have to do with it? Why should Africa be punished for what's going on between Putin and Zelensky? Most Africans could care less, right, JJ?
Except for John.
Indeed, they could. But the knock-on effect in terms of what it is costing, what this is doing to world inflation, we feel it. It's, we could care less than that about global warming, but we hit the worst.
It's because Joe Biden's bankrolling the Ukraine. So if he stops giving them free money, it might just stop the inflation. I mean, nobody thought of that.
Well, I think they've thought of it, but then what happens to the Ukraine? You just let it go? You let Russia take it?
I don't see why Africa and ordinary American taxpayers should have to worry about Zelensky and his friends. I don't see why that's a priority for anyone in America or in Africa.
Well, Africa has not backed the Ukraine to any extent. And yes, I mean, but they are absolute. Can you use the phrase innocent victims? But they're absolute victims of that fighting. So the sooner it's stopped, the sooner it's brought to a stop, the better. But, one of the problems, one of the criticisms of Africa is that they haven't voted to condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So they seem to be seen to be on the side of Russia in this matter. And, that hasn't helped.
Why
that has nothing to do with the economic ills that they are feeling now.
Why don't the West, instead of giving all this free money to the one side and complaining about how the other side is the aggressor, which we all know that's the case, right? There's no real debate about this. Why don't they force these two idiots to sit down and come to some sort of peace agreement? They haven't spoken in over a year. They don't care about how many lives are lost. Neither side, Putin or Zelensky, they haven't made any effort to sit down and talk. None. And all that's happening is money is being poured into it. This sounds to me like something that is on purpose, and it is being done with the intention of prolonging this war and creating more chaos. I don't see how we should have to suffer on this continent as a direct result of bad decision-making in the West.
Well, I mean, I think when those countries catch cold, we get sick too. That's all there is to it. Whether they should be talking, I mean, any conflict requires people to sit down at the table and talk. But why did we not say to Poland after Germany had invaded Poland, you really need to sit down and talk to Adolf Hitler? The situation is fraught, and the fact is Ukraine was invaded by Russia. So yes, they should talk, and they have tried. I know that there was efforts to bring China as a mediator into this, and China has played a mediation role between Iran and Saudi Arabia, a very interesting one. They want to play a role, but when it came to it, they haven't managed to do it yet. I agree with you entirely that we need to talk. Jaw is better than war, to quote my old friend Winston Churchill. But we have to do it, But at the moment, while Russia is shelling and razing Ukrainian cities, what talking can you do? You've simply got to defend yourself.
Well, I must tell you, I think more and more people on this continent, and even more people in the United States who are bankrolling the Ukraine, could care less what happens to the Ukraine. Going forward, they just want this thing to end. They want the world economy to stop spiraling downhill the way that it is. And we'd all like to just see some sensible heads prevail here, instead of people who seemingly are hell-bent on continuing this. And it's just, who cares this much about the Ukraine? It wasn't like they were a paragon of democracy before anyway. They're also one of the most corrupt governments in the world. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't really care what happens to Ukraine. And I'm sure that's the case for most people.
I certainly would disagree with you very strongly on that. I think a lot of people see this as a very, very dangerous pointer, and they believe that Russia has to be checked at this point. Otherwise, where will it end? If Putin decides he wants to restore the glory of the Soviet Union and bring the former Soviet countries in, and that's what he's doing. Ukraine, of course, is the open door to Russia. Anybody wanting to get into Russia comes through Ukraine because there's no mountains. Geographically, it's the open door to Russia. So you can understand his fixation with it. But the fact is, he has to be brought to check.
He can't even finish off the Ukraine. Everybody said he was so dangerous. He can't even. They haven't made any progress. They haven't taken Kiev. That Mariupol. All of these places. It just seems to me like, JJ, it's being set up as something that it isn't.
Well, I'd love to debate this with you at great length. The fact is, though, the very money that you say shouldn't be pouring in is what is enabling Ukraine to hold Russia off. So it's, 6 of one and half a dozen of the other there. I certainly feel very strongly for Ukraine, and I do believe that I have the majority of people on my side, not on yours.
Well, I think on this continent, since this is Africanalysis, we're only talking about this because it affects us, and it's affecting us adversely, and we don't care about the Ukraine on African soil. We're not in fact, most of the governments in Africa are pro-Russian.
Well, that's exactly what I was saying. Yeah, they would. But
so then we should be arguing for Russia on this show.
and for China and for a lot of things. No, I think we should be arguing for what's best for Africa. And is that situation supporting Russia against Ukraine the best for Africa? I don't know. I see that South Africa has now been excluded from the G7 summit in Tokyo. It used to be invited to those. Now they've simply invited the head of the African Union, which happens to be the Comores at the moment. So they go to speak for Africa at the G7, the most influential group, the richest countries in the world. So, there's so many knock-ons to this, but that the war in Ukraine should end immediately is axiomatic. But how to do that? That's the question.
JJ, there's just one last thing someone said here, and it's just such an obvious thing. I can't believe it hasn't come up before in the discussion on this show. But somebody said it's a lame joke, but what is JJ's favorite pie? Is it a Cornish pasty?
Does it start with a C and end with an H?
Can you imagine what my school days must have been like? Cornish ice cream, Cornish hens, Cornish pasty. Yeah. So that's clearly one of our old schoolmates. And I'll tell you, sod you. You might have played first team rugby, but you were always a poopball.
I love it, JJ. Thanks so much. It's always good to see you, and thanks for
Lovely chatting,
Thanks for your valuable contribution. I like the fact that it sometimes devolves into all kinds of bizarre theories between all of us. Thank you, JJ Cornish. And of course, the African Analysis brought to you by the Johannesburg Business School. Make sure you find out more by going to cliffcentral.com, and the Johannesburg Business School is on our website. You can follow all the links. I'll tell you what, they are doing really interesting work across the continent. They are absolutely on top of things when it comes to seeing the opportunities that can lead your business into expansion across Africa. They also know lots of people across the continent. They are constantly gathering intelligence about where and when and how and why. And you need to know what that information is, especially if you're looking at making your business bigger, more continental, more global. Talk to the Johannesburg Business School. If you're studying there, you already know all of this. JJ Cornish back again in 2 weeks' time. All right, it is 7 o'clock. When we come back, we got a whole lot more for you. Stick around. CliffCentral.com, Tuesday morning.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
I mean, you would as a customer, you would expect if you go to the dealership.
So now you've imported this car. It's not available yet, right?
Yeah.
You've imported this car by legal or illegal means.
Yeah.
And now the OEM is not geared up. The dealerships are not geared up to support that car.
I don't think it's the OEM's responsibility.
So therefore, they shouldn't help.
Specifically, I don't think it's the dealer's responsibility because there's no support for it. It wasn't bought in here for a reason. There's things that have to happen before.
So now you take a car to the dealership, right?
Yeah.
If they touch that car,
yeah,
immediately they take responsibility. Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Just because it's about technology, connecting your business to the rest of the world doesn't mean you need to send rockets to space and use complicated solutions. Want to simplicate things? Well, join Jaco Voigt, who is the CEO of Catalytic, on the Unbundled podcast. With skin in the game and a keen focus on educating and assisting you and your business, Jaco decodes all the aspects of connectivity, security, and cloud solutions. Unbundled is brought to you by Catalytic and is available on cliffcentral.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Given our history, education has got a different meaning and purpose. It's not just about becoming a lawyer. It's about social status also.
Yeah.
And you, as a trust fund baby who grew up in lavish, whatever, you have too many lawyers. We don't have lawyers in my family.
I'm not a trust fund baby. I never finished.
You.
No, hold on. No, because
I don't mean you. I was looking at that lady. Actually. I don't know why you're owning it.
All right. It is Tuesday morning, 18th of April. This month is just like
going.
Well, I mean, look, it's covered in public holidays anyway. No one's going to get anything done in April. If you thought April was going to be the breakthrough month.
Joke's on you, buddy. Joke's on you. It's like the bridge month. You go from the beginning of the year where like things are a little bit like tight, blah, blah, and then vroom, it's the middle of the year and you don't even know where April came and went. Like it's that month.
So next week, 3 days.
Is it only 3?
Week after that, 4 days.
Yo.
Yeah, so good luck trying to be productive this month. All right, so we got these two gentlemen in the studio this morning who I'm very happy to have here finally after all this time. They are the Cassim brothers, Kyle and Austin. They have been obsessed with house music since they were young boys. They grew up in a household that was just crazy about music. And it was inevitable that they would become DJs, but that wasn't enough. They also wanted to create their own music. And they started in 2015, it was, Cinnamon.
Yeah.
And look at you two now. So here they are, Austin and Kyle Cassim. It's nice to have you both in the studio.
Good morning, Cliff Central.
How often are you two actually in the studio at the same time? Move that microphone because it's right in your face. We can't see you. Oh, it is Kyle. Look.
We weren't sure there for a second. Like, which one is it?
So how often are you two actually in the studio together being interviewed? Because usually it's, you've each got your own individual thing going on as well.
I'd say lately quite often.
Yeah,
really?
Most of the time. In the last few years, it's always together.
People want they want the double deal. They don't want
they want the two birds with one stone. We want it all.
They're trying to cut costs. So like
so
let's
you
get
both
them in at the same time.
We are getting paid for this, right?
No, actually, I'm pleased you brought that up. No, we've cancelled the debit orders that we've been sending. All right, so Kyle, would you need more volume there?
Please,
you good?
There we go.
You deaf bastard. Is that because you've been DJing for so long?
I actually went for a hearing test yesterday.
Funny you should say that, yeah.
Tell me.
We went to go get earplugs made yesterday because we've been playing for so many years. I mean, I have been in the industry for now 21 years and professionally for 16 years. And we're like, okay, it's time to get earplugs made.
and you can't. Did they say your hearing's been damaged?
It has.
Yeah,
it actually has.
Yeah,
scary.
I'm nervous to even go because I've been doing radio shows for 25 years now.
Yeah,
and
you're also pretty fun.
What?
Surely. What? You got sorry. You're also pretty.
No, I am. I reckon.
You must be.
Because sometimes, because my dad has just got these hearing aids, right? And I think he turns them off on purpose.
I do that too.
And he irritates the hell out of my mother with these things. But I know one day that's going to be my story. I have these, because I'm not going to be able to, it's this stupid job that we chose.
100%.
And you guys have it even worse because while I used to DJ in clubs and things, you're doing these massive, massive shows, concerts. You just did fucking Ultra, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no escape from the noise.
No ways.
No, those monitors
The
are
sound
louder
at
than...
Ultra was so loud that I constantly thought I had headphones on. That's how loud the booth monitors were.
Yeah, it's just in the DJ box alone.
Jeez. All right, but you still love it, right?
Yeah.
If I have to wear a hearing aid one day,
It'll be
I'll
worth
wear
it.
a
It'll
hearing
be
aid.
worth
Yeah.
it.
So what?
I feel like you didn't choose this. This life has to choose you. Like at some
100%.
point, it's like your connection to your craft is so strong. You almost just know that this is what you're meant to do. You don't wake up and say, I think today I want to be a DJ. I want to make music. It's a feeling, dog. It's the same thing with broadcasting. You just kind of like knew that this is it.
Do you think that? You agree with Lebang? Is it something that just, I mean, especially for you, Austin, because Kyle he's older than you and he went into it. But did you feel like, oh, I got to do this as well? It's something I love. Or was there something else that you really wanted to do? And you were like, nah, I think I'll try this thing.
Go into the family business.
Family business.
Same story with me. But what caught my attention was more the production side of things. So obviously we both started DJing from grade 7.
Yeah.
From, all those 13th birthdays and stuff like that. But from that same age, I just fell in love with the creation of music. And I got so obsessed with making something and getting to play it. And that reaction from people listening to what I made.
That's so sick.
Was addictive.
Yes.
And I think that's what really got me into this. And you bring us together.
Cinnamon.
Special.
You got a good equation there.
So
that's nice.
All right, for those people who don't know, I mean, I don't know who wouldn't know, but they're probably people who are still like, who are you guys? So when you're together at Cinnamon, and then you play a lot and produce your own music, that's what you do.
Other way around.
Yeah.
So
Cinnamon, you DJ together.
Cinnamon, we produce and DJ together.
Right.
And then we still have our separate aliases.
So I said it wrong, but I know what you mean.
So
yeah.
Kyle Cassim still plays his own shows. Austin Cassim plays his own shows.
Right.
And then Cinnamon comes together as this.
It's the spicy little thing that makes it rock.
There we go. I like that.
You guys should just hire me as your
PR.
Clearly.
Please.
That's so cool, man. I love that. I think that's
And
really
and
good.
are you still doing a show on 5?
Yeah, 7 years now, huh?
That's pretty
Damn.
impressive.
I'm not getting part of the woodwork.
Yeah, and at the SABC, you got to watch out when you become part of the woodwork. I mean, that's dangerous, right? Okay, so what's been happening? You mentioned Ultra, and there are a lot of things that are going on that have been going on for ages, but the club scene has changed completely. I mean, Kyle and I had lunch the other day, and we were talking about this and how it's not what it was 5 or 10 years ago.
Of course.
A lot of those places that you could guarantee there'd be a big crowd of people every Friday or every Saturday. It's not that way anymore. A lot of these places just haven't survived. I think there's less money just floating around.
I think that's the general thing, is just money isn't there anymore. People have to choose where they go on a weekend now. You can't go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's like, okay, we're going to go out on this Saturday of this month. And
that's it.
That's our jewel for the month.
Damn.
I mean, Austin said an interesting thing to me this morning. He was with some of our friends from the UK last night, and they were saying that the prices of stuff in South Africa are actually the same in the UK. Now, if you think about it logically, grocery wise,
sure.
If you think about it logically, we're earning so much less in South Africa. When you go out to Saint on a Thursday, a Don Julio is costing you 100 Rand.
What?
How do you afford that every day or every week?
That's a little shot.
That's one shot. Who can afford that? Whereas 3-4 years ago, it was 35 Rand, 45 Rand.
Yeah. And that was more accessible to more people.
Things are just so expensive that in order to go out, get drunk, pay entrance fees and stuff, it's not feasible anymore.
So here's the question I have for you, because you guys watch this at close quarters. I mean, you do these big festivals as well, but you see people, you watch people. It's part of your job to watch what the crowd is doing and to kind of be in simpatico with them. You need to know what's going on there.
Yeah.
You need to be playing music they love. They need to be vibing with you. There's a whole thing going on. So when you watch people, how have you seen people change over the last 10 years? Because I mean, these phones have changed everything. Now people are more comfortable talking on the phone than they are in person.
100%.
I don't know how. I mean, I used to love the fact that when you were out with people, you could meet people, you could talk to people, you could end up hooking up, you could end up, meeting someone for the first time at some party somewhere. I don't know if that's still happening at the rate that it used to. And
Gone.
And is it a very different kind of social situation now, especially for young people who are trying to like meet each other, have relationships?
It's so different. It's the whole phone generation. So firstly, if we just address the economy part of it first, people are going out for less of a time. So whereas you'd go out for the whole night, people are pre-drinking at home and whatever, and coming to the Joel for 2-3 hours only.
Yeah.
In those 2-3 hours, they're getting a few drinks and you're busy playing, and the energy is just different. Because firstly, they're not as drunk as they used to be. They're not as loose. And secondly, the phone is up the whole time.
Sure. That sucks. So you're not even like really involved in the energy. You're on your phone trying to record it so that later on you can share it with people.
That's literally it.
That sucks.
And as a DJ, you want to be... You're trying to like have a good time and interact with this crowd and you're feeding off each other. But when you've got a phone in your face the whole time, you're thinking, okay, let me just try to look good for this person's story. Are they even going to post it, or they're using their phone to hide behind because they're just feeling a little bit nervous?
Damn.
And being DJs, I mean, I was always a shit DJ, but I used to hopefully pull a crowd.
You still get
you still pull the crowd.
Yeah.
You still pull the crowd.
I knew. Please, I knew what I was there for. I was there to get a crowd there, and that was what I delivered. But you guys are actually very talented at this, and there are only a few people who can say that they're at your level and are doing what you do for a living, right? Has that changed so substantially as well because of social media? You get like TikTok influencers who are commanding enormous fees for doing zero, except pitching up for something.
Yeah.
You know what? One of the sad things about this TikTok generation is that the respect for artists is no longer there.
Sure.
So you can get an 18-year-old girl who has triple the amount of followers as Kyle Cassim. When she meets me, I get a fist pump because who are you, Kyle?
Yeah, she's like, well, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You don't matter to her.
Yeah.
And you don't know who she is.
I have no idea who she is. I don't know what she does.
But her friends all know she's like got more followers,
yes,
which makes her very important.
And it's like, yo, what up, bro? Whereas back in the day, you know, if someone bumped into Gareth Cliff in 2008,
sure,
you were like, get the paper and the pen out now.
Sign my titty.
Plus, of course, people weren't posting stuff like they are now. So you would take a picture, but then it would be like for you to have, I don't know what you would do with the picture.
It's
what
for
you
you
do
to
with
say
that
I
photo.
did it.
It's frightening.
And please don't tell us what you do with it.
So what's the age gap between you two?
8 years.
Yeah.
8
Oh,
years.
that's not bad. That's a nice.
That's quite a big age gap, though.
You know, I like
So
the
do you-
family vibe. That's dope.
So you guys obviously have completely different experiences, even when you're playing a gig at the same time.
I think Kyle got way more of the better side. You
You
know,
think?
he got to experience a lot more of the true rave, the true club scene, that love for music, and people were coming out for a much different reason.
Yeah.
Do
The
you
game
think
has
he was
changed.
born at the perfect time?
I
to
think
take
I was
full-
the last samurai. I think from
Yeah,
the
I agree. I think
Ricardo
you
da
might have
Costa
been,
era,
man.
the Lady
I think you
Leah
might have
era, the Fresh
Mm.
era, I really think I was the last DJ to catch that wave. After me, there hasn't really been, the party scene changed.
It's
Yeah.
changed.
It's changed.
Yeah.
I think I was the last of it. If you're in your 20s right now, you wouldn't know what I'm
You
even
don't know.
talking about. Austin is lucky though,
You
because
you
he's
sound-
been
you
partying with
sound-
me since he's 16.
Yeah, but you sound like you had to switch off the lights and close the door. It's a bit sad.
It's hectic, bro.
But the game has changed. I feel like it's also like a safety element. Whereas back in the day, if you're going out, you don't have to worry about my phone getting nabbed or my purse. Now you're on guard. You're like,
Yeah.
I can't be here for much longer because people's intentions are completely different. Some of us would just go there for the music. We just want to go all night. Others are there to steal from you. Others are there to hurt you. And that has like a direct effect on the whole energy.
Yeah,
It's
what
pretty
the hell
sucky.
happened, man?
Yeah,
It
something
was-
happened.
It was so good.
Social media happened.
Hey, we had it good, bro. Yo, we had it good. Sorry, Austin. This is all foreign to you. Dude, like, we had it good, dog. Like, everything was
No,
so
but
swift.
you heard what Kyle said. He was there. He
I was
like,
there. I was
Yeah.
just very young.
Yeah.
I was
So,
dragging
'cause-
Austin to Pretoria when he was like 17 years old.
Yeah, and I think the first time I went with you to one of your ties gigs on a Wednesday, I wasn't even 17 yet.
Not even yet.
Yeah, because I was turning 17 at the end of grade 11, and I started going grade 11. With
And I
you.
mean, we're
Yeah.
Indian, so we always look young. So,
yeah, that's a good thing. Own that.
I mean,
That's
well,
good.
actually, Gareth's not Indian, but he still looks young somehow. I don't know what he's been doing.
yeah,
Uh,
he's looks the same.
Maybe I'm getting some Indian. But all right. I mean, you hear Derek says Benoni represents.
Yes,
I mean,
man.
So I mean, Benoni seems
Sure.
to deliver way above its punching weight.
Yo,
Okay?
there's never anything really good said
there's-
about Benoni in this room.
No, are you joking?
Come
there,
on.
There are princesses from Benoni.
Okay.
There are
One.
Hollywood stars from Benoni.
Another
Yeah.
one.
There are these two
That
from
makes
Benoni.
4.
Timber.
That's right. Euphonic is from Benoni.
That's 5.
Come on.
Come on. It's
What-
Benoni, Gareth.
The world's strongest DJ is
What
from Benoni.
what suburb are you in?
I'm from Woodmead.
Okay, who in the whole
That's where
world
all the
specifically from
Jews.
Woodmead?
Shout out to my homies. Shout
It's
out to the
just you.
Jews, my boys.
It's just you. There's no one else from Woodmead except you.
Look, I just feel like Benoni as a whole is
They
just
are
it's a
exceeding-
mistake. But
No,
hey,
They're
hey,
exceeding expectations. And
all
I mean,
5 of them.
are your folks still there?
No, they followed us to Bedford View.
Oh, thank,
Ooh, Bedford View. Hey,
Come
come
on.
on, come on, guys. Come on.
thank
They followed
goodness.
us.
Thank goodness. So, I mean, Heartstream says here, nothing can replace personal contact. Emojis often portray a smile, hug, a kiss, but so far removed from the true self. I mean, this is also, we could sit here and be nostalgic about all this shit, but the reality is also you've got to change with the times. And you've got to
Sure.
keep
100%.
changing. So how's
Sure.
music changing? Because that to me is interesting. I hear about, this friend of mine the other day is like, wow, you got to hear what stimming. I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? Because I'm
Stimming is dope.
so I'm so out of it, right? Because up to 9 years ago when we started this, I still used to play music every day. So I knew what was going on. I had to have some idea who the artists were. I could tell you something about it. I was like interested. I was involved in it.
Yeah.
And since then, it's amazing how quickly you fall off. Like if you just have a couple of months where you're not paying attention to
You have
music,
no
scene,
idea.
Yeah, you'll
you're
miss
Yeah.
out.
totally out of it, dude. So now I'm like one of those people who goes, huh?
Yeah, it's fast.
So here's an interesting fact. When I was Austin's age, I used to rely on Austin for commercial music.
Really?
And yesterday, Austin said to me, someone said to him, it's good that your girlfriend is so young because you can find out what's trending in terms of
Hectic.
music
Because I'm out of it. I'm out of the commercial scene now, and I relied on probably being in university.
Yeah.
For all our cinnamon bootlegs and stuff that we were making back then, it's because I knew what people were listening to in class. I knew what was the commercial hit here, the commercial hit there. Now, ask me what's the biggest commercial song at the moment. I don't know. I'll probably tell you something off TikTok.
I don't even know. I find I've gone very underground at my age, which is good and bad.
But I mean, so when you prepare for a gig, is it like, is there extra pressure because you're not paying attention to what's trending today? Or do you just know? Because you have to have the confidence that I've seen you guys display when you go out there and play. You know what you're doing. The audience love it. It works. And you're not feeling pressure to be like super on trend.
So the great thing about that, and I had this discussion with Sanele Patalwa, if you know who that is.
No, you see, I don't know anything.
You don't know that? Come on, Gareth, you're showing your age.
I don't.
She's one of our stars at 5FM.
She's awesome. Okay. Yeah, she's awesome.
So she was telling me how she loves to play commercial music. And I said, I don't like playing commercial music because anyone can play commercial music. What it takes for Kyle, Austin, and Cinnamon to walk up on stage and play something that you haven't heard before with that confidence to entertain them is a much more difficult job. To come up there and play something you've never heard and make Gareth dance, and for him to be like, I don't know what that was, but cheapers, it was cool.
I can dig it. You've actually got a very good point. Anybody can go up there and play something that's already popular.
Yeah.
And if you're in the crowd, you've heard it before, you're going to vibe with it.
You're going to dance.
But if you haven't heard that ever before, it's really going to take something different. And I've actually got a brother who does deep house as well, the Lazarus Man. So the first time I went to his gig.
Is your brother or like a brother?
He's my brother-in-law. I'm married to his brother.
You lie.
I'm not lying.
Shout out to Laz. We love Laz.
Shout out. No, he's family.
What a small world.
So when I was still like dating his brother, I went to his gig for the first time and I'm like, okay, cool. What's going on? You know, in this dark, dingy room. And as soon as he started playing, oh my God, I felt like I was being elevated. And I'm a hip hop head. So it was the first time I was even in like the deep house space altogether. Gareth, I stood there and I was almost in tears. I was absolutely moved just by the energy. It was completely different. I wasn't. And maybe I wish I was. That would have helped.
Sounds very emotional. I mean,
promise you I wasn't. But it just showed me that there's this whole other world of like music and new music that people are still so believing in. That is completely different to something like hip hop where we know everything. It's loud. It's commercialized. I'm going to have a good time guaranteed. But this is deep house. This is something I've never heard before. And I'm going all night.
Listen,
nobody has spiked my drink.
And there's still enormous audiences for this stuff, which is why you can do things like Ultra and H2O and all these other festivals, right? People love going to these daytime things as well. Why do you think that is? I mean, I've been to a few of them and it's fun, but it's also because I think people are just desperate for that value for money thing too.
Yeah.
You want to be at something that isn't going to be over in 2 or 3 hours because it's the one thing that month you're doing.
Put it this way. Let's talk pre-COVID. A primetime set was 12 to 1. If you're playing 12 to 1, you're the headliner, 12 to 1. Even 1 to 2 was a good time back then. Now, primetime is like 10 to 11.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. 12 o'clock, people are gone.
12 o'clock.
It's all dead.
I watched a party this weekend. I got there about 10 o'clock. And I watched it just go like that. By 12 o'clock, there was 30% left of the people.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but it's that safety thing I spoke about. People are now just like, yo, we have to get home because again, it's not like before. Before you could party your ass off for
COVID
hours.
Ruined everything.
It fucked us.
Yeah,
it really did.
It ruined everything. Look at this. The party scene is dead because of COVID as well. I already hated COVID. Now I hate it even more.
It'd be like that.
All right. So what do you think is going to happen next?
Well, hopefully we are in recovery, but I think it can only get worse before it can get better. You see, the rest of the world is thriving right now, even with dance music. There's festivals constantly.
Yeah. Europe, North
crazy.
America, it's madness.
It's absolutely crazy.
So I think South Africa's biggest problem right now is a money thing. People can't afford to go out, can't afford to buy tickets, can't afford to buy drinks.
Yeah.
So I think when we hopefully start recovering from that, our parties will be able to be a little bit more long-lasting.
Is it only the two of you, or do you have other brothers and sisters?
We have a sister, Danielle. You know my sister.
I think I have met her.
You have met her, yeah.
No,
She's in between us.
She's in the middle, yeah.
Poor her. She doesn't want any attention, right?
No, no, you know what? She's the fab one out of all of us.
Yeah.
She's the glamorous one.
Austin
Right.
goes,
We've begged her to become a DJ. She's like the most beautiful girl, and we're like, become a DJ.
Yeah, and her
the three of
dressing
you
is
could,
on
like,
point.
The three of you could put on a
Ooh.
what a show.
You'll get bookings just for the way you look, and
Yeah.
she's like, I'm
Right.
not gonna
She's
be a
not
DJ.
interested. I'm seeing a comment here by Parallel Parking, which I do want to get your guys' opinion on. It says by 2015, all DJs will be AI.
2025. You
Ooh.
mean?
By 2025, yeah. Like, do you guys agree? Do you think he's capping?
I don't think you can take away from a live performance.
Sure.
I don't think so.
And it's
Austin
an-
might disagree with
and
me.
it's an energy thing. I mean, sure,
Sure.
there'll be amazing
Yeah.
there'll be amazing mixes, there'll be incredible new tracks that are being laid down by
Yeah.
AI, but I think it's still a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's going to get excited for a machine churning something out?
I mean, look, I understand your guys' style is obviously to be there, jumping on the stage, being in one vibe with the audience, which is so sick. But there's some DJs who just kind of stand behind the booth and just do their mixing. They're not involved. Maybe they're the ones who are going to suffer first, because if an AI can just do that same mix, get the beat right, get the matching right, then
Yeah. Look, I think it's all got to do with the crowd you're playing for.
sure.
So, for example, there is places in South Africa where the crowds are very spoiled,
Mm.
where they get whatever they want,
Mm.
and they only go there to listen to a specific type of
Who are
music.
the worst crowds to play for?
Name and shame.
Yeah, no. What age group?
I don't want to. I don't
What-
want.
Ah,
I don't
No,
want.
come on.
Guys, this is
No,
our jobs on the line. Yeah.
No ways. I'll tell you
This is a
off air.
safe space. This
I'll
is a
tell
safe
you
space.
off
No,
air.
man. All right. Just wink twice if it's 18 to 22-year-olds.
I'm not. I'm
No,
gonna walk out the
they're
studio.
best. I love them.
Really?
I love my
What's
18-year-olds.
a spoiled crowd? Because this is quite fascinating to me.
You brought it up. I mean,
Yeah.
So you've got
No
you've got
ways.
these you've got certain
I have all the
venues
answers. I'm not telling you.
where they book a resident DJ,
Yeah.
and this guy plays for, let's say, 7-8 hours.
Okay.
at 2,000 Rand.
Yeah.
That's how much you get.
An
Literally
hour.
for the entire,
No,
the entire
altogether.
night,
Nice.
and he plays everything that they want to hear.
Okay. Okay.
He's not teaching them anything new. They're not learning any new music. They're just hearing all these throwbacks, and he's just crowd pleasing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So that, yes, maybe those people could be entertained by AI.
Okay. So we're getting there to get to here. I love this. This is brilliant. Okay.
But there are people, and I think it's venues where they don't rely on the crowd. It's where the DJ still has the power.
Sure.
know?
That makes sense.
Pull factor instead of the bar factor. People are coming to see the DJ, whereas you get some people who are coming to go to the venue.
Yeah.
Okay.
What has more power, the venue or the DJ?
All right. So
I get it.
you won't tell me who the worst crowds are to play for, but
I refuse.
who are the best? Like, what are your favorite places to go? Your favorite
My-
gigs to do? Like, there's got to be a certain vibe that you want to replicate. That you where did you have the best experiences ever? That you just thought, I want to do this again and again and again because this is magic.
My favorite people to play to are the ones on drugs. they party so hard.
Yeah.
Like people on alcohol are fighting and like
So actually, that's a good point.
vomiting.
Yeah.
People on drugs are looking at you and they're pointing at
And they
you and
all
they're like,
they
"You
care
are
about
the
is the music."
king."
Yeah.
They are sweating. Their
Drugs
shirts
people.
are off.
There we go. All right. So that's valuable information.
Yeah, just FYI. If you didn't know, now you
Gareth was
know.
waiting for that.
No, yeah, it's different crowds. I remember I once was asked to play for some like under 18 party. You know, they never served drinks at those. It was like a whole lot of the schools got together. They used to do these special events. I remember these people. No one would do anything unless the cool kid in each class was doing it, and therefore, like you'd play one song or whatever it was, and everyone would be on the dance floor, and then 2 seconds later they'd all be off.
Like little ants.
Because there's so much peer pressure going on there.
Sure.
Like, oh, we've decided this is not cool.
It's giving
we've
you
decided this is.
party matric vac vibes. It was very
Right.
that. It was
I
like
hated that.
if the cool kids are doing it, then we can
said-
all do it.
I said at that point, I'm never playing for these motherfuckers again. I said, I'm out of here. Count me out. I'm done.
yeah.
But I mean, there are obviously also events that are quite fun. We talked a little bit about these festivals and things, and these have picked up some of the slack from like clubs that are no longer there. What do you make of those?
Sorry, I was just laughing at some of the comments.
No,
Please, read them. The ones that are making you laugh, tell us.
No, I'm not. No, festivals still have their energy. And that's, I think people save themselves for the festivals, you know, and they know because they come into this amazing venue, it's daytime, there's daytime drinking, there's so many cool visuals on these stages, then they don't really care what you play. Then you can really express yourself in the best way possible.
And they spend a fortune on the staging and the screens and all this stuff. You know, before it was you pitched up with like a bag full of CDs at that point.
Remember those
like,
CDs?
There's nothing going on behind you. It's like a blank wall.
I found our CD bags the other day.
Did you?
Did I give you yours?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Wow. That must be like a treasure trove because there's some of that
is
stuff.
nostalgic, man. Flipping through, cleaning your CD, putting it in.
Alcohol stains.
I saw this thing on Instagram the other day about like 90s dance music.
Yeah.
Someone posted this thing. I got so excited. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. So I sent it to a whole bunch of my friends. They're like, oh, reminds me of high school.
Oh, my word.
But it was, I mean, this is how it must be to go through your DJ bag from a couple of years ago. Because now, of course, you pitch up with like
2
USB
USBs.
stick. Yeah, 2 USBs.
You know?
Plug it in.
Not even 2. Now you just need 1.
You just need one,
yo,
'cause
the
they're
game
all-
is
it's
changing.
linked.
Everything's linked.
Yeah. Damn.
It's amazing. I've been to one club this year, says Ancient Ether, Montana and Rosebank. It was wild and a lot of fun, just very expensive.
Yeah, it's costly.
So, I mean, that's an interesting thing that you brought up just now, like the whole drugs versus drink thing, because it is just a fact. We're not going to, it's not our fault. We're not responsible for it. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is a big part of why a lot of clubs are no longer there, because they're not selling alcohol to people as much as they might have before.
Not at
And
all.
alcohol is how these places stay alive.
100%. That's how they make money.
Yeah. So are there still clubs that are always guaranteed to pull a crowd?
On a weekly basis?
Yo, it's tough.
It's
It
tough,
really
yo.
is. Truth, for example.
Hey, shout out
like,
Truth.
Love
Shout out.
Truth.
Oh,
My favorite club in the country.
shout
Really?
out.
They have their off weeks. Onyx in Sanson, like can be completely full, can be quiet. It's like
I must say Greenhouse. Almost every Friday and Saturday thumps though.
This is
And
this is in Sanson.
Yeah, and
and
Saturday.
that is a bar.
Yeah, that's
So
that's
now
not a
you-
club. That's
Yeah,
like
it's a
we're
bar.
turning this into
it's
a
also
thing
a
at
restaurant.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically,
It's a
there's
restaurant
no
with a
fancy
DJ
lights,
box.
LED screens or
Literally.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a good sound system.
The game is changing, Gareth.
It's exciting though. I mean, like these guys still know what the hell's going on. At least we can get the intel from them.
Yeah,
There's
because
no
we
way-
don't
don't
know.
know.
We
don't know what's happening.
Can never be.
All
us.
right, so you're getting married this year.
Ah!
Very exciting. Very
Yeah.
exciting. Kyle's getting married, and this is excellent news because otherwise he would have spun out of control and it's been a disaster for the rest of his life.
Congratulations.
Finally found a woman who loves him.
All my
And-
mother's prayers came through.
So
nice.
yeah, this is very exciting, dude.
Very, very exciting. You know, it's like a whole new chapter of my life.
Mm.
Not even anxious anymore, man. Like I'm turning older this year.
No, dude, say it. Don't be embarrassed.
I'm 34 this year, and
Oh, you're still young.
it just shows there is hope for any rock star DJs that are behaving badly in their 20s. When you meet the right woman, everything comes together. She, like, literally, my career has changed. I'm so much more stable, focused on work, focused on life, focused on health.
Were you worried at a certain stage?
No, because I was drunk most of the time.
You're not worried when you're drunk.
You'll see to it the next morning. So how's this gonna have like a direct impact on like your sets and when you get booked internationally? You're just gonna go with her?
No impact. He's still working.
Sure, but I
Yeah.
mean now like
What? She's gonna chain him to the stove. What do you think?
No, what I'm saying is he is an international DJ who is gonna get drunk when he mixes in the other parts of the world, and he's got a wife now who
And?
obviously. That's why I'm asking him, how's that going to have an effect on his
I
career?
don't think it
moving
will
forward?
because, I mean, weekly, she's like, when are we going overseas? When are we actually making that
Nice.
step to go play overseas?
Good. So
Listen,
she'll join you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
That's all I'm
something.
asking.
She's not gonna complain when he's playing some gig in Ibiza and she can sit on the beach all day and he has to sleep off the hangover.
Sure.
True
So
story.
she's down
She'll
for
be
you.
happy.
That's dope.
She'll be
That's
she'll be
dope.
tanning. She'll be having the best day ever.
Yeah.
And then he has to work that night, and she can go. I think I might go to sleep.
I like
Listen.
it for her.
Let's be honest for a second here, too, guys. I mean, there is something really nice about not working on a certain weekend. Like
Oh,
I used to
gosh.
for what 12 years I was doing these gigs, And sometimes they were in Joburg or Pretoria, but sometimes it was flights and, catching that early morning
It's
flight the day
exhausting.
back. And
Yeah.
like you never see your actual friends. You never see much of family.
I don't have any friends anymore.
There we go.
Aw.
See?
Sorry,
I'm your
Austin.
friend,
I'll
brother.
be your friend.
We'll be
Shame.
friends.
Look
Thank
at
you.
this. Getting a lot of support.
Yes.
No, but it's so nice when you actually can have a weekend to yourself
Mm.
and not have to work. It's always great to work. Don't get me wrong. And
Yeah.
obviously, this is your business.
#blessed.
Yeah. So that's good. But it's also kind of cool to, hey, I think I might go to bed early tonight, or I might just make some supper, or I might just watch some TV. I haven't done that in, I don't know how long you guys haven't done
This
that.
last Sunday, we were off for the first time in a while. And it
Yeah.
was
Sunday.
actually
It felt
really
good.
nice.
First Sunday off in a long time.
Yeah.
Watched movies.
He didn't know what to do. He was
What do
sitting
we
there
do
going,
with all this time on our hands?
oh my God, something's wrong.
It was so nice that I woke up
Yeah.
on Monday feeling like a different person.
You see? That's
Like-
nice.
It felt good.
Congo Chris says, whatever you say, Grandpa Kyle.
That's why I was laughing earlier. And I will stop reading these comments.
Dude,
It's
these comments
distracting
are
me too much.
All right, how about you? You're not getting married anytime soon, Austin.
Nah.
No, Austin's still a fresh chicken.
Probably,
Let's
yeah,
let
still a
him
few
do
years.
his thing.
No pressure. huh?
No. You must still enjoy yourself. Don't do it.
Look,
Do
I
it.
don't see marriage as a reason to not enjoy yourself anymore.
No.
Sure.
The main thing that me and Kyle, I'm sure when he started dating Nicole and when I started dating Kiara, was that this is what we do.
Mm.
You need to understand that
Mm.
and you need to accept that. So whether you're married or not, this is the lifestyle. So like
Mm.
you asked, like Nicole and Kiara both know that they're going to be coming with us overseas.
Good.
We have gigs.
Nicole's not going to be an impediment to Kyle's continued performance. It's his old age that will be an impediment.
Listen here very carefully, everyone listening in. I will outjowl any 18-year-old. Come at me.
You know what?
Accepted.
I stand by Kyle. He will outjowl. He
I bumped
outjawls
into-
me, and I'm 8 years younger than
I
him.
bumped into Kyle in December in Cape Town.
Mm.
And yeah, it's still the same.
No, we can still go,
Still the
man.
same, dude. Got
I
it
mean,
in
in
us.
the space of like 5 minutes, we
Yeah.
had like 10 tequilas.
Yeah, no,
Ciao.
we didn't mess around. But it is interesting too that social media. I mean, you both are in relationships, and a lot of people, they're not sure how much to share and how much not to share. And
Mm.
have you kind of established rules with your respective partners as to how much you put out there and how much you don't? Because you don't want people to think they own you, and you don't want people in your business, but at the same time, you don't want people to know, like, this is my
Mm.
actual life, so that
Mm.
you're not pretending one thing and doing another.
Sure.
I personally, and also as well, I live very open life. So religiously, relationships, family, alcohol, gym, whatever.
put it
I
all
do,
out
I
there.
put it out there.
Yeah.
That's me. This is Kyle. You do what you want with it. Like,
yeah.
I'm not ashamed of who I am. If
But what I'm saying is, there's certain things you want to keep just for you and Nicole, for example.
There's
Mm.
boundaries.
You know, there are people who share everything.
A bit,
Oh,
a bit
yeah.
too
Like
much.
Will and Jada Smith. You
Like,
don't want to be like that.
We don't need to
no,
know it all.
no. Listen, if I'm proud of something, I post it.
Right.
So that's.
But do you
that's the
feel
extent of
pressure
it.
to post things?
Yeah.
Is it important to share this stuff because of what you do for a living?
Mm.
100%. I think, especially with how social media is now, I've noticed that if I try to keep my profile more professional and I only post about gigs and DJing and music,
Yeah.
my interaction and my engagement isn't that high.
Drops
Mm.
down.
But the moment I go a little bit more personal,
Yeah.
post a photo of me and my girlfriend, likes skyrocket, comments
Yeah.
skyrocket, talk about my family, likes skyrocket, But if I post a cool photo of me gigging, nobody cares.
Meh.
No.
That's what I
Yeah.
do. They know that's what I do. They want to know more
Sure.
about that.
All right. So let's just go a little bit further here, because obviously you two were raised in a really good family. I mean, it seems to me, first of all, evident because of the fact that you are stable, sensible people. I mean, mostly, Kyle, in your case, mostly sensible. Austin's a lot more sensible. But bring your sister into this too. But obviously your parents did a pretty damn fine job.
100%.
Yeah, shout out.
I always say that the biggest source of this dreaded word privilege that people throw around, the greatest privilege in the world, is to have two parents who actually love you
Facts.
and raise you properly.
Facts.
Would you
Yeah.
guys agree with that? And
100%.
and how has that been an advantage to you?
It's the backbone.
Mm.
Like, I know that our parents did both. They weren't happy about our choice in Korea. Like,
what would they have liked you to? Are we talking typical Indian parents here would have liked you to be doctors and lawyers and so on?
100%.
I studied law for 4 years.
You see,
And-
like I did,
yeah.
waste of time.
Waste.
And dropped out.
Yeah.
And
Same, waste of time.
Yeah.
and my mom used to
For
actually
us.
talk about
Us,
Gareth
not for
being
lawyers.
studying law, and she's
Oh,
like,
God.
Gareth studied law, and look how clever he is, and you can
Oh,
still
she
finish
didn't-
your law
Did
degree.
she know I didn't finish my law degree?
No, but if she's listening,
She definitely
Mom,
did not know
Now
that.
you know. Surprise.
so I followed in your footsteps because I
Uh-oh.
think you went to Tux as well, eh?
Terrible idea. Yeah.
So
Hey,
following
Tux
my
was
footsteps.
good,
we went to
man.
Tux, studied law, dropped out, became 5FM presenters.
You're pretty much living my life with a bit of a delay.
yeah.
But they weren't happy with this decision.
No, look, it wasn't easy, and I think it's more the fact that if you're a parent and you've raised your kids, you've given them a good education, you've given them everything, and now you have to think about them being in a nightclub 4 nights a week. I think it's stressful for anybody. So even with me, I went to Tux as well. I ended up finishing my degree. I haven't used it or done anything.
You're the
with it.
only Tux student in this room that finished their degree. Congratulations.
Thank you. Where's my award?
No, I feel the rest of us should be high fiving each other. We found the true. No, so you're right about that. That no parent wants their kid to be in a club every night until 3 a.m. because also these places are dangerous.
Very
Like Lebang
dingy.
hinted it already.
Yeah.
I've heard horrible stories. Thank God, in however many years I was doing all this stuff, there weren't any like major fights that broke out.
Yeah.
There weren't any incidents where people were stealing money or breaking bottles over each other's heads. You can see the worst of people in these situations as much
The
as you can
worst.
see the best, right?
Literally the worst.
I've got a theory that, firstly, like most of our parents were just generally never happy with our choices, especially if you're like a gifted creative, you want to get into music, they're automatically like, no, don't do that, stay in school. Fine. But I kind of think that I'm grateful that my parents rejected my choice of career because it's kind of fueled how I am now a parent. Now I know for sure whatever the fuck my kids want to do, I'm going to support them. I'm not going to question it. If I can put them in piano lessons, I will. If I can any single thing that my kid wants to do, it's my job as their parent. And I could only learn that by my parents' rejection.
But I mean, what you were saying is, even though that this wasn't their first choice as a career for either of you, they are supportive.
Yeah.
They care about
That's
you.
dope.
They are thrilled at your success, obviously.
Big time.
Right.
Very
So
thrilling.
I'd have to disagree with you a little bit there in terms of the whole. Even though they weren't too happy about it, the support was there.
Yeah.
And I knew that they were still keeping me on a good guideline.
Sure.
So they didn't let me just do whatever I wanted. They had their 5 cents, and I appreciated their 5 cents. I appreciated the advice my dad gave me. I appreciated the advice my mom gave me. And it's a big part of who I am. And I think in this line of work, you do have to stay on track because it is a dingy scene. You can easily fall off
you've
into
gotta-
drug addiction, alcohol
Yeah.
addiction.
You've got to have good people around you who also keep you in line,
You
right?
do.
I mean, so family are obviously a big part of that. But you said just now you don't have any friends, but I don't believe you. I mean, you must have some. You must have some good
no,
friends.
Couple
we've
of
got some
people.
good friends. It's
So-
obviously industry friends now.
Yeah.
you know?
So, Austin, if you guys didn't make it, of which of course you were gonna, do you think you still would have gotten that same energy from your folks, or did the support only come once the success came? Because remember, and I'm asking this for a reason, a lot of people drop out and want to just go into music but don't make it. You're like a lucky few who actually stood the test of time and made it. Some people stay in that realm of, I'm still trying music, it's my 15th year dropping mixtapes and like nothing's changing. But because you guys made it, that further put the belief in your parents that, man, our kids got this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at the end of the day, they're worried about our longevity, success.
Sure, of
How
course.
are our kids gonna put food on the table? How are they gonna have
100%.
families? How are they gonna pay for things?
Yeah.
So that I think is where the biggest concern was.
Mm.
So there's always been that sort of, look, I don't really like what you're doing, and I hope that you're gonna do something to just back yourself.
Sure.
But I'll back you too.
Yeah.
So
No,
like
that's
in
cool.
COVID, for
That's cool.
example, 2020,
Oh my God.
I've
yeah.
never had a day job before.
Mm.
And within a few months, I had car payments, I had all sorts of things, debit orders, and I
Yeah.
fell into a very dark place. I
Mm.
literally had no source of income. And within a few weeks, my dad was like, here's a job.
Sure.
One of his
What-
best friends,
What did you have to do?
I was a business analyst,
Sure.
and I'm very good with computers. So he had this, it was basically this reporting program that you used to run. It's like a whole system. I won't go into it, but I helped them get the system up and running, and I got a really good salary.
Nice.
And
So you're the last born, eh?
Yeah.
Hey, the last borns always get the good stuff. You know, you don't have a job, I got you.
I feel like you're just gonna make this all about how you feel sorry for yourself.
No, not even. I'm
I
just
do have to
realizing
say,
these lost borns.
Kyle's coming in for some shots here about being the elder one. Congo Chris says when Kyle studied law, it was only the 10 Commandments.
Yo.
Some mean shit coming
Who's
in.
this person? What did you do to them?
Why are you being like this?
Congo, leave my brother alone. Stop it.
Damn.
Do you two ever fight?
No, we've never had a fight.
No, ever. That's amazing.
How, Sway?
People ask us the weirdest questions about our relationship, about our working together, and I think because we're always on the same page, and we've grown up, we've just got such a close bond that it's like
That's fantastic.
That's so
It's
cool.
all
seen the
about
movie Double
communication.
Dragon.
Yeah.
Look at the movie
Communication
Double
is
Yes, I
Dragon.
remember
made up.
Double Dragon. I used to play the actual arcade. That's how old I
So
am.
I don't even know if Austin has watched the movie Double Dragon.
I have. I just don't remember. I can't tell you what's in it, but I
But
have.
look at us as double dragons. There's two brothers that just come together as one, and that's just
And they fuck
basically
shit up.
That's what we do.
100%.
I love it.
I love the fact that people still ask us if we're twins, and I'm like, I'm 8 years
Oh,
old.
Kyle, you must love that.
Congo
plus.
Chris probably hated that. I know I don't like it.
All right, I love this. Well,
Awesome.
I mean, what else is there to say? This is really, this is superb. It's really good to have you both in the studio for the first time and to talk
Thanks
to you
for
like
having
this.
us, man.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
loving this.
I sort of, I see you guys around from time to time, and I suddenly thought the other day when we were talking, it's like, why haven't we had you on the show? We've had some people who are way less
Interesting.
interesting
Yeah.
and connected to the universe than you guys are. So what's the big end game here too? Because obviously you just hinted at it now. Like, what do you do when DJing isn't a thing for you anymore? Because either you'll get tired of it, which is probably what's going to happen, or it'll change so much that you just don't feel like you could do it anymore. And one of those two things might happen. You're already producing music, which is something you can carry on doing forever. That's truly something that you could, you can't run out of runway on that. But are there other things that excite you that you're getting into? Are there other businesses that you're thinking of starting? Are there places that you want to go, things that you want to do that you haven't done yet? Because this is kind of all time consuming as well. You can't really have 7 jobs when you're working late nights doing gigs. It's not as easy as that.
It's not as easy as it sounds.
No.
Well, I think I'll start because I know that in the much further down the line.
No, you're fine. You got that computer job.
Yeah,
Anytime you want to pick it up,
anything.
As the youngest,
You're fine.
I get the
yeah.
computer
Anytime
job.
life goes to shit,
Yeah,
you
you
can
He's
just
the
get
business
a...
analyst.
we do have different aspirations in terms of our individual goals. Like,
Sure.
I'll let Carl talk about what he wants to do when he's older because I know it's much different from me.
I know what he wants to do. Relax on a beach with the dog. Well,
Some mojitos.
right.
But like you said, like music production is a big thing for me, and I think that I will hold on to that forever. So even
And
when
get better at it.
I'd get better.
Yeah.
So when I'm 50 years old, I would love to still be producing. I would love to be scoring for movies, maybe. Being in that
That's
sort of
so
space,
cool.
scoring for ads, and just being
Yeah.
able to use this ability because it's something that I love and I can always do, and I can just take in so many different directions.
Sure.
Just a quick one from Carl, not Congo Chris, says, Kyle is a normal name. Were your parents drunk when they named you Austin?
No, they weren't. I wasn't named Austin after how many weeks old was I till I got
You were a
named?
couple of weeks old. We called him Junior for a while.
Oh, wow. You're just wandering around without a name for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Basically, like me in my teens.
So what's your plan? Like
So I have a couple
when you're
of
55 years old?
Like next week.
So sure, Congo Chris is in the building.
You're
Congo Chris,
It is me. It is me. Busted.
She's been typing here the whole time and nobody picked up.
Jokes.
You know, 55 is still very young these days.
It is.
But I've got a couple of other aspirations. I'd like to still perform on stage for at least another 15 to 20 years. I mean,
Sure.
Fresh is how old now?
Wow, that was good.
Black Coffee's about 48.
Yeah.
So I've still got lots of time on the stage, which I'd like to, if my ears don't go. But what I've recently started doing is doing motivational talks at schools.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's been a passion of mine since I'm a young boy, is talking to people, inspiring people. And a school asked me last year to come talk to about 1,000 kids at a high school. And it went so well that other schools have asked me to start doing it as well.
That's amazing. So
That's really cool.
What do you talk to them about?
Well, it starts off with my story, where my bullying in school, racial differences, and what happened to me as a teenager.
Did you pick up a lot of shit at school?
So much, to the point where my parents moved me from one school to another. Yeah, it's made me who I am. It really has.
Sure.
But that whole story comes down to a success story of how I went from being bullied in school, racially profiled, excluded from teams, friendship groups, and how my music kept me alive, my passion.
That's awesome.
And got to me where I am today. So that's a whole hour chat.
Yeah.
And that's been going really well. And I'd like to hope that in the next 5 years, I actually become quite a well-known motivational speaker in South Africa.
Listen, we need all the motivation we can get, especially for young people in this country, because a lot of them are looking at it going,
it's a bit bleak.
I'm out.
Yeah. That's
Okay, well,
cool.
that's very
one of
good.
my prime goals, because I think I can do that till I'm in my 60s.
Sure.
And on top of that, me and Austin have opened 2 record labels. Hopefully that goes for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
And finally, I'd like to be a restaurant owner when I'm in my 40s.
Really?
50s.
That's the one I was waiting for.
Okay, but that's the worst job in the. I hate to sound like your parents and try to talk you out of your career.
I know, but I want to be so wealthy that I walk in there and greet everyone.
No, but still, it's just a horrible business because you have to worry about someone. And my steak is a little bit rarer than I wanted it to be.
Okay, when I say a restaurant, let's talk more of a lounge, more of an entertainment lounge. So
Still going to be selling
I
food,
nearly
though.
swore, but my mom's probably listening. So screw you and your steak. But
all right, so you wouldn't tolerate any of that nonsense.
No.
Okay, well, that sounds like a plan.
I like the one of like becoming a motivational speaker and kind of giving back to the kids, because a lot of creatives kind of just do their own thing for as long as they've got their 15 minutes and then they just like stop. Whereas I think the real gift is being able to take what you've learned and passing it down to other generations so that they can essentially continue your legacy. So I think it's very cool that you've seen that part of it. And have challenged yourself to do it. So please do it. Don't just say it today.
No, I've started.
It started already.
I've started already.
You started already.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I did one 3 weeks ago. It went really well.
Yeah.
And I look to start doing it. I want to do every school in the country. I want to speak to everyone.
That's amazing. Can I please challenge you? My son's school's having an Africa Day at the end of May.
Oh,
and
we're
kind of doing
co-opt you into.
Look at I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So
Right
no,
here.
real talk. We're doing like a kiddies TED talk where we get like African musicians and success stories to come and motivate the kids. So if you guys are available,
I'm in.
Gareth will cover the invoice, but let's do it.
Look at you. You just climbed in and booked them for a gig they weren't even aware that you were going to book them for.
Look, I mean, if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. Got to do it long. There's kids out there that need to hear your stories. I mean, the fact that you've experienced racial profiling and that has made you who you are, I think so many kids can benefit from that.
100%.
As young Black South Africans, we kind of think it's only us. So, and it's not. The thing is, it's not. So I think it would be of like some real value to share that part of it and speak to how that built you. I think that would be so vital. See you in the end of May. It's done. I'm booked.
You better just check his diary. Just check.
It's my birthday in May, so there's going to be lots
When's your
of partying.
birthday? When's your birthday?
The 18th of May, and then the 27th of May.
That's my birthday.
You're joking?
Hell yeah!
Okay, free tickets to my festival that I'm throwing.
Woo!
You're doing your own festival?
Yeah, the Carl Cassim birthday bash. 65 artists.
Jesus.
Look, if Laz is playing, then I'm obviously coming.
Actually,
where is it?
If I should fly from Cape Town.
Where are you doing this?
At Truth.
We're going.
We're going. Is it 5 dance floors?
I was
5
very
dance
keen
floors.
until you said that.
No, come on, Gareth.
Let's go. Gareth, come on, let's go.
There's nothing wrong with Truth.
We'll see. All right.
You'll see me in Austin in our prime and glory till 8 o'clock in the morning. You know that party goes from 8 p.m. till 10 a.m.
Yes, guys, don't you get tired?
Red Bull, my friend.
How does that feel though the next day? Because I've forgotten how that feels, and I'm glad I have.
I don't know. Me and Austin have been on this sobriety for the last 3 months.
We haven't
That's
drank
true.
in
You
so
haven't
long.
been drinking at all,
No,
right?
remember last time we went for lunch. This week is 3 months and 2 weeks that I haven't touched alcohol.
Wow. and you're still able to keep the same energy the same. Like I'm just asking.
I
Obviously,
would
it
like
has a
to think
direct
that I mix
effect.
better.
It's actually better. I also, it's better.
Whoa.
You know, the thing is though, when you're drunk, you think you're having a much better time than you really are.
You think you're the king.
You think you're the king. So now you can actually stop and be like, okay, that mix wasn't that clean.
Sure.
But isn't tired the worst? Tired's the worst.
Yeah,
It's like,
it is.
if you talk about doing an 8 p.m. until 10 a.m. the next day, it's that tired that kills you.
So that's every 3 hours sugar-free Red Bull. There we go.
The problem is also though, you don't know what you actually look like when you're tired.
Congo Chris says 65 artists for his 65th.
Tell Congo Chris.
Meet me
He's got
outside.
2
How
free
about
tickets to
that?
my birthday.
All right, Chris, you're specially invited. If you and the wife can get your walking sticks and your zero frames on.
I want to
Very
meet
good.
this guy. Come to one of my gigs, man.
All right, I like this. So May is going to be a big month.
Big month, yeah.
We'll
Very
be
good.
there on the
Well,
27th.
big year.
I
'cause-
do 2 birthday bashes because I've got a big, me and Austin have a massive following in Mozambique.
Nice.
So I do a birthday bash in Mozambique
That's crazy.
When is that?
on the 20th of May.
So you're just like in and out of just traveling,
Yeah.
partying it up a storm, Red Bull everywhere you go.
Red Bull.
It does sound good.
And
That
then,
does sound good. I like
27th
this.
of May is the big one. And then we go to Ibiza for my bachelor's.
Yeah.
Oh wow, this year is the year. Shout
Every
out,
year's the year.
guys.
You got to make it work.
Okay, Austin.
Sure.
I feel like you matriculated like last week, bro, but it's cool. It's cool. Do your thing.
I love that. Yes, I did.
All right, gents, thank you so much for popping by. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
And you can find them on their social media hashtags. Ats, you know,
Handles.
you got their handles. There's
Mhm.
Austin on there. There's Kyle on there. Find them all over the place, and you can follow what these two are up to because it seems like a fucking great ride.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And-
Thank you for
and
having
props
us.
to
Where
Cliff
can we get
Central.
the cinnamon stickers? I want one for my
Oh, I
phone.
should have brought
should have
some.
brought.
You already asked them to do this thing at the school for free.
It's the hustler in
Now
me.
you're asking for stickers.
It's the hustler in me.
I'm so embarrassed. They came here for an interview, and now they're giving you
Well-
everything. That,
We'll send some over to
Thank
Cliff
you.
Central.
Then
We-
you can
we
have
your
one as
address
well.
now.
When
Gareth.
you come to my birthday, we'll
Yes.
have everything for you.
all right, there it is.
Got
You-
it.
Now you got the party as well. Add
Ooh,
that.
ooh.
Okay, everybody, have a happy day. We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers. Bye.